Welcome to the big show. This is Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, and we are happy to have you with us today. As always, I got my good friend, my good pal. He is in all black today. Al, how are you doing today?
I have my Johnny Cash outfit today. I'm doing really good. How about you, Josh?
I'm doing good. Are you going to sing today?
I am not going to sing today.
And thank you for that.
Yes, everybody will be thanking me for that.
You're right. But it is always great to be back helping our listeners make better and smarter investing decisions. Al, we had another phenomenal week in these markets. We had some more indecision, I'll say, some nice gaps up a couple days here this week in the stock market, especially Thursday after initial jobless claims looking a little bit better is what they say. But you know what? We're in between a couple supply and demand zones, so who knows which way this market could go. It could continue to go higher, but there is overhead supply that could push this market back down again. And that's a lot of things that we're going to talk about here today on Investing with Confidence, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. And Online Trading Academy has been around for 25 years. On their 25th year, a world leader in trading and investing education, teaching people just like you how to trade stocks, options, futures, forex, cryptocurrency, whatever that market may be that is your choice. You can learn how to do that, and you got to have the confidence to get started. Takes a little bit of action we're going to talk about and hopefully help people and inspire people to take action of their finances. But out with these markets, brings a lot of risk in the markets, but you know what? We can minimize that risk. Talk about what's going on, what's some of the catalysts that's happening here, these supply and demand areas with the stock market. What can investors do to make smarter investing decisions?
Well, that's a whole bunch of stuff you just asked for.
Are you ready for that?
Let's do it incrementally here. Let's talk about what's happening in the market. The market is full of volatility, which is, for us, is a good thing. We really have more opportunities during volatile markets. What's causing it? Well, there's a number of different things. Inflation is still a huge issue. Those jobless claims that were under 300,000 for the first time since really the peak of the pandemic, last year's pandemic, and that has provided some upward momentum, quite a bit of upward momentum in the stock market. But the CPI came in, the Consumer Price Index came in at a rate of 5.4% for September, the fastest rate since 2008. But even maybe more importantly, the Producer Price Index, the cost of really making the goods, as the components that go together to make a product, that rose at a rate of 8.6%. That's the fastest rate since 2010.
How can that affect us as regular people?
Well, as that increases in price, the manufacturers, the companies that are putting products together, selling products, their costs become higher. And as we know, companies don't just eat that. They don't absorb it. They pass it on to us, to the consumer.
That's true.
That does not bode well for increased inflation going forward.
Yeah, well, that's why us as regular people, we need to have other sources to compensate for some of this. We can't just let these prices rise. We got to do different things to have the potential to have extra income to pay for that stuff.
Yeah, well, ideally, whatever is happening, whatever the news is, whether it appears to be good news or bad news, it shouldn't really impact our potential to benefit from the markets. It really is just causing prices to move faster. And if you're looking for, or if your goal is to increase what you have short term, then you need this volatility to be able to do that. Josh mentioned supply and demand. Basically, what those are just areas, or what we call zones, where we know there are buyers and where there are sellers that are going to impact the price of something. And I was just thinking the other day, Josh, back before I came to Online Trading Academy, I was a broker at one time, retired and just started trading. And I used to go to the Money Show every year. There are several of them around the country. I used to go down to Orlando, and there were sessions, numerous sessions, probably 50 different sessions every day by different investors and different investor groups. And then there was an area sort of like the Minneapolis Convention Center, about that large, with hundreds of booths with companies that were selling products for making money in the market. Mm-hmm. And so the bottom line is there are so many things out there. You'd go from booth to booth to booth. Then you'd go back to your hotel and guzzle down about 14 Excedrins and then get up and do the same thing.
And mix it with some good stuff, right?
Well, it's so confusing out there. So what do we do? When you really think about it, what is your goal if you're going to be investing, if you're going to be using the financial markets? you want to make sure whatever investment or trade you make, after you make it, the price goes up or goes in the direction you want it to go. You also want to make sure it goes far enough to provide a profit for you. And then you want to make sure that as much as possible, you don't lose. I mean, those are the three important things. So what I really think was impressive about my first visit to the Online Trading Academy, which was a number of years ago now, was the fact that the core strategy, the foundational strategy that is taught to OTA students really concentrates on those things. And there's really only one thing that is really factually important as far as what comprises the results of those three things I mentioned, and it's the impact that somebody has on the movement of price. And by somebody, we know what we're talking about. We're talking about the big institutions, the Wall Street banks, the big players, the hedge fund managers. They have enough money to impact the price of something. So what we want to do is keep this simple and just follow the people that are actually moving price. And that allows us to identify that price where we can get into something with a high degree of expectation and probability that the price is going to go in our direction and go far enough for us to achieve the maximum profit.
Yeah, I was actually teaching a class this week, Al, and we were talking about supply and demand, and we are looking to, we're anticipating where prices could go, right? Mm-hmm. And just an example, I threw a marker up in the air, and one of the students in the class caught it, but they anticipated where that was going to go because they had done it before. They knew the law of gravity, right? They knew when you throw a marker up, it's going to go down the gravitational pull. The same thing with supply and demand. It's an economic law. When there's more buyers than sellers, price will go up. When there's more sellers than buyers, price will go down. So understanding supply and demand on a price chart. I mean, if you look at the S&P 500 right now, I kicked the show off with the S&Ps, right? We are actually starting a downtrend. We have overhead supply and demand. So it's making smarter investing decisions, but it doesn't matter which way the market goes. So you don't want to be at mercy to the market. You just want to understand how the market works and how to make smarter investing decisions. And Alice, at the beginning of the show, and I have a special treat for everybody today. We have a different type of investing class I'm going to do here today. I'm going to invite everybody to our virtual investing class. It's about an hour long. Easy to do. You can do it from your own home. You can watch it. It's online. And it's about 1 hour roughly. And we talk about how the markets move, how they work, how to manage risk, how to time the market by letting price come to you. So I'm going to make it easier for everybody as well. You don't even have to call in. Just go to our website. Go to otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com and register for this investing class right online. It's 1 hour. You can do it from home, nice and easy, any day of the week. Go to the website, otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com. Al, coming up next, I want to continue the discussion of the great opportunities that we're seeing in the markets, maybe talking about some different stocks, but also we have this inflation happening. How do us as investors or traders have income potential to hopefully compensate for some of that? OTAMIN.com. This is Josh and Al. We'll be right back. So we are staying live on the podcast. You guys have a treat today.
It is your lucky day.
Everybody's happy.
Look at everybody's standing up, too. It's a standing ovation.
Cow. Too bad you guys weren't on the YouTube stream. All right, we're going to come up with section 2 here in about 30 seconds. So stay tuned. Think it's going to rain today?
I think will you listen to that?
Started right now. All right, section 2 coming right up for you podcasters. This is Investing with Confidence with Josh and Al. Hold the applause, please. You know what? I didn't even save that. Hopefully it stays. I'll save it later.
First mistake you have ever made.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I better save that before we go on to the next section. What do you think about that, podcasters? What do you think about the stock market, Al? What do you see it doing here moving forward?
Well, on Thursday we had a pretty big up day. What I see is a lot of volatility, a lot of days similar to that, both directions, up and down. The market is really kind of skittish right now. It reacts very quickly and almost violently to different news stories, which is fine. That's okay with us. We're okay as long as the market is open and it's moving.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As long as it's moving. Video's not on.
Okay.
Just audio.
All
right. Section 2 coming up. That was a little teaser for you guys. Here we go. Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. As always, I am your host, Joshua David, talking about the do's and the don'ts of the financial markets. When we talk about the financial markets, that is all of the markets. We have stocks. Everybody knows that. That's what you see on TV, internet. That's everywhere you go, you see the stock market. We also talk about the futures market, Forex market, options market, even the cryptocurrency market. Al, especially this last week or so, cryptocurrency is back on a tear again.
Right.
I mean, people that are missing out on these cryptocurrency opportunities, I don't know what you're waiting for, but we have some nice opportunities. If you happen to miss that virtual workshop online that we do, go to the website, go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com and register for this free virtual workshop. It's about 1 hour. It's nice and easy. You can do that from home. Al, as we continue this discussion about the markets, especially the stock market, I kind of want to talk a little more about stocks and maybe some individual stocks. I don't know if you have anyone you want to look at or talk about, but we've had this, the producer price index go up, and it's just, we know that there's inflation. Everybody's talking about inflation. People are looking to learn how to hedge from inflation.
Right.
Basically not have to worry about it because they have income potential in different areas, right? Mm-hmm. Now, most people listening, I'm hoping most people have some sort of job and they have income coming from that, but people are still searching for that second source. If you think about it, how many millionaires are out there have one job? It's most of them have multiple, and the studies say is they have 5 sources of cash flow. And that's what it's all about, is how to have multiple sources of cash flow, or the potential to do that, but the potential to do that when maybe it's off-peak hours, because the stock market's open just during the day. You have other markets that are open around the clock, especially the cryptocurrency market. So, Al, when you're talking with students at Online Trading Academy, most people don't just take everything that they have and just throw it on the market, right? Everybody thinks that, hey, I got to put all my money in the market. That is actually very risky. Mm-hmm. It's all about minimizing that risk. So before we get into some stocks, talk about how most investors, once you understand how to do that, take smaller amounts of capital. Basically, you're being more capital efficient.
Yeah, before I go into that, I want to just comment on something. You mentioned in that last segment that student that you threw a pen up in the air and they caught it. What that student did is when you threw the pen up in the air, they didn't go for where the pen was at that second. They had to go where the pen was going to be.
Yeah, and they waited.
And it's just Wayne Gretzky at one time said that he doesn't skate to where the puck is, he skates to where the puck is going to be. And that's what we do in investing, too. We're looking at what is going to happen in the future. And how can we do that? How can we identify what's going to happen in the future? We look at what the institutions are telling us, and because of the way they have to trade, we can benefit from that. And when you come into these classes, we're going to show you how our strategy does that, how the strategy actually benefits from what the big players are showing us. And the bottom line is that you need to be able to identify where price is going to change or where it's going to continue a certain direction. If you can't do that, if you don't have an accurate way of identifying those areas, then you're gambling and you're just relying on hope. And that's exactly what you do not want to do. So now the other thing is you mentioned the word risk. I think everybody out there understands that if you're looking for something that has high reward, typically high risk goes along with it, which means for a lot of people that they're going to shy away from and not even attempt to try to invest in something that maybe has a better reward for them. Mm-hmm. Well, the important thing, and no matter what you're trading, what you're investing in, what your style is, what your goals are, the number one thing that you have to concentrate on is risk. One of the things that floor traders are told when they're thrown out on the floor by the company that they're representing is, don't lose any money. And if you do lose any money, it better not be very much.
Yep.
So risk management is the number one thing that they learn. It's also the number one thing that we teach our students. No one will be 100%. But one of the things we always say is that if you have a small loss, that can never be a big loss. And you should never have a big loss. If you work hard for your money, whether you're retired now or whether you're still working and putting money aside, that money is yours. Look at that as being your possession. Don't let somebody else take part of that away from you. So make sure that if you're wrong, and you will be wrong, we're all wrong occasionally, but when you learn how to do this and do it with confidence, you understand that you have a system in place, a risk management system where your principal is protected, but also your profits are protected.
Al, did you just mention that you're wrong once in a while?
Well, there was that one time. Remember, it was like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No, but here's how you do this with confidence.
Yeah,
and that is the name of our show is Investing with Confidence. That's what our education strives for, is to have all of our students feel a high level of confidence when they're trading and investing. One of the ways you do that is to accept the fact that you will not be right all the time, but then also learn how to make sure if you're not right that it doesn't make that much of a difference. You're protecting yourself.
Let's talk a little bit about how to put the odds in your favor, because you got to be right?
Yeah.
How do you put odds in your favor? How do you make smarter investing decisions then?
It all comes down to that one word, price.
Okay.
It's identifying the precise price that you want to get into something that has the lowest risk, which is one of the risk management tools, and then also has the highest profit potential. You have to identify the right price to have a high-quality risk management system. You have to be able to identify the right price to get in and out to get the maximum profit potential out of a trade or investment.
Yeah, so there's great opportunities in these markets right now. I mean, volatility is our friend at Online Trading Academy. We want volatility. Our strategy, our core strategy, is designed to take advantage of volatility.
Right.
So if you're looking for a strategy to make smart and investing decisions, you got to go learn it somewhere. Al, we have investing classes or virtual workshops that we do, and people can do this from home. The comfort of their own home. Any day of the week, we have several throughout each day, and these are classes where we've taught thousands, just like you, are many strategies which are designed to teach you to make better investing decisions. So go to otamin.com. That's OTAMINN.com. Register for one of these free virtual workshops. They're about 1 hour, and you can do this from your own home. You know what, Al? I think the best part of that is a lot of people like to do that from their lazy boy. In these classes, they talk about our step-by-step, rules-based strategy for trading any asset in any market. But as Al is talking about, it's about price, how to understand the right price to enter, which is buying at wholesale, just like what we do in our everyday life. We want to buy it when it's low, buy at a wholesale price, and sell at retail, just like those financial institutions do. So the strategy, the supply and demand, the law of supply and demand strategy that Online Trading Academy has, it's an economic law. It can't be broken.
Correct.
Just like gravity. It's a law of gravity. So you have to understand how that works, and we talk about that in these free virtual workshops, otamin.com. So, Al, we talked earlier about the right price and maximizing the efficiency of your capital. Mm-hmm. A lot of our listeners, think you need a lot of capital to trade and invest. Well, I'm going to say that's not true. There are different assets for investors to use or to trade with that allow lower amounts of capital than the stock market, right? Because they have leverage. So talk about those leveraged asset classes, and how can our listeners participate in these really any time of day?
Well, one of the reasons that our students really want to learn what those assets are and learn how to trade or invest in them is it gets back to the comments you made about multiple sources of income. The people that are really savvy financially and successful financially have, as you mentioned, up to maybe 5 sources of income. Mm-hmm. And the reason that they do is they understand that any one source can go away. You have a job, if that's your primary source of income, Could you lose your job? Is that possible?
I'm sure a lot of people did in this past couple of years.
Well, look at the unemployment rate. Look at all the people that did lose their jobs.
Yep.
That certainly does happen. It happens when you retire.
How does it feel if you have a nice backup plan? It doesn't.
Fantastic.
You don't worry about it then.
Right. If you have, and a lot of people also, Josh, have something that they would love to do that doesn't have enough of an income to let them live the lifestyle they want. Example, I have a relatively new student who is a painter. I don't mean not a house painter, but he is an artistic painter, and he does fantastic work. That's his passion, and he's at the point where he just really wants to paint for himself now. He doesn't even want to sell his work.
So the painting could be his great hobby that he loves
That's
to do.
his hobby. That's his passion. And we have a lot of people that feel that way that aren't able to pursue that because they have to earn an income. Well, what if you could pursue that passion and have a source of income that doesn't require a full-time job? And for some people, it might be real estate, but for a lot of people, it's the financial markets. Equities, stock positions are great for your long-term wealth, but if you have short-term goals, then maybe you need something that you can get into and out of on a short-term basis.
Talk about those assets that give those different opportunities.
Yeah, and we're talking about things that are short-term in nature, like the futures market, the foreign exchange market, the options market. Futures is probably the number one asset to learn about if you're looking for really short-term cash needs being satisfied.
That's the income potential. Call that the Ferrari of trading and investing.
Okay, let's call that the Ferrari of trading and
futures.
investing. Right. And if you're going to go off-roading, you're not going to use a Ferrari, but if you're going to go down the coastal highway of California, then the Ferrari is your choice.
It's the right vehicle.
And the important thing there is that there are choices. You don't just have to use mutual funds or stock. Futures is great for short-term trading. The foreign exchange market is great for a little bit longer, but also long-term, because some of in Forex, by the way, we're talking about the difference in exchange rates between two different currencies. So you're relying on activity within countries. Sometimes that can take a long time to happen. So there are some trends there that are long-term in the Forex market that you can use for your wealth buildup. Options are great for short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Those are assets not only that allow you to achieve your short-term goals and to boost your long-term goals, but also they have leverage, which means that every dollar that's invested actually controls a multiple of that as far as the investment it's dealing with. With the foreign exchange market, there's about a 50-to-1 leverage. That means every dollar controls about $50 worth of something. That's huge leverage. That's huge, a huge maximization, I guess, if that's the right word, of your capital.
We'll take it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. In the futures market, it varies depending on the component of the futures market that you're trading. And by the way, from a risk management standpoint, one of the things that is part of a proper risk management strategy is proper diversification. The futures market itself, just in that one family, is probably the best single source of proper diversification that you can have, because you can trade in the stock market, in the markets, the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Russell, foreign markets. You can trade commodities. You can trade, corn, sugar, soybeans, your favorite, lean hogs, oil, gold, silver, currencies, interest rates. Great proper diversification there, because some things are not correlated to each other, some are inversely correlated, some are correlated, but you can put together a strategy that really satisfies what your goals are.
I'm glad you brought up lean hogs. We haven't talked about that for a while.
Right.
It's funny, we do these investing classes virtually. We also have them here in the center in Bloomington. But some people always come up, hey, you've been talking about lean hogs. What's going on with lean hogs again? And it's kind of funny. You've got a lot of people that come in and just talk about a lot of things that we talk about here on Investing with Confidence, because it gets them started with their journey. Started with their journey of, potential to have income potential, or just, having a better better life. And people are always looking for a better life, whatever that may be, or maybe just making smarter investing decisions. And now you were talking about earlier, some people probably lost their jobs in the past couple of years. Well, we have people that goes to these investing classes, especially on the virtual ones, have great jobs. Right. They don't have time to come in, and that's why we do these virtual investing classes right online for people like to do like that. But when Al's talking about these different assets, the futures market, that's the Ferrari of trading and investing. It's fast, sleek. You want the right vehicle, as Al was talking about when you're going down the coast of California. You got your Lamborghini. That's your Forex market. Sleek, smooth, longer term for some people. And the SUV is options. It's a sport utility. I mean, think about it this way. You want the right vehicle. Unfortunately, it is winter coming up. You want to have an SUV that has four-wheel drive. You're probably going to not drive your Ferrari in the snow. So it's having the right vehicle in your trading and investing, whether you're doing short-term trading or long-term investing. You just got to have the right one and the right tools. So I want to give away some tickets to this virtual webinar that we're doing. It's a virtual class online. It's about 1 hour. Just go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com and do this class. It's virtual. It's about 1 hour with one of our instructors, otamin.com. Al, coming up in the next segment, we're going to continue talking about the leverage, but talk about that with retirement accounts, strategies, and techniques. otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. Mazza. Forgot to give everybody on the podcast a little clap.
Oh, yeah. And by that, he meant an applause.
Yep. All right, we got Section 3 coming up right around the corner. Al, you have anything special you want to talk about in the next segment?
Well, there's all sorts of things to talk about when we're talking about retirement. So we'll talk about the way to approach it, again, with confidence and approach it without being part of that statistic, which is the retirement crisis number.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's continue on then. We are saved and ready to go. Section 3, Investing with Confidence. Welcome back to Investing with Confidence. I am your host, Joshua David, having a good time in studio talking about the stock market and also different income potential strategies that investors like to make to trade like the institutions and not against them. We're going to continue talking about how supply and demand works, how institutions move the market. So what do we want to do as regular investors? We want to trade like them. If you happen to miss the website for the virtual class that we're doing, we have people that come to these virtual classes on the evenings. We do them during the day, in the morning. There's several per day. Just go to otaminn.com. That's otaminn.com. If you didn't know, that was actually Online Trading Academy, Minnesota. Little trick there, isn't it?
Oh, it was pretty tricky.
otaminn.com. Al, as we talk about, early in the last section, we talked about using the leveraged assets, and I just want to clear something up. I was actually talking with a good friend the other day, and we were talking about, trading, investing, and it's funny because every time you meet up with some friends that you haven't seen for a while, they always talk about, the stock market because they know that you do stuff like that, and you talk about it on Investing with Confidence. And we were talking about, they say, I want to get in the markets, but I don't want to do that day trading thing. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people talk about that. They say stock trading or any type of trading and investing is day trading. Well, that's kind of a thing of the past. And as people go to these virtual 1 hour classes, you can see how unemotional trading and actually short-term trading can be. Think of day trading as a thing of the past. It's gone, right? It's investing like the institutions are doing it, waiting for them to move the price, and then understanding where to identify to jump on with them. Or as we were talking about in the first section, where to identify that and to make smarter investing decisions. So, Al, with this retirement crisis that's going on, I mean, people just can't retire. I was actually talking with another friend, a little older friend, and we were talking about retirement. They were like, you know what, I just don't have enough.
Right.
I have a good amount saved that they felt anyway. They had a few $100,000 saved, but they knew, hey, that doesn't go very far in retirement, and they didn't want to do that one thing that I think a lot of people are afraid of, is living off of a fixed income. So what are some techniques and strategies that investors can use or utilize with their retirement accounts to have income potential during retirement?
Well, let's talk first of all about why, like your friend, why people are kind of in that situation where they don't feel that they have enough in retirement.
Sure.
And for a lot of people, they just don't. And there's two basic factors there. Well, three, actually. One is that people just aren't actively saving for retirement.
Yeah.
And when you're young, when you first start out, you got some money coming in, the last thing you're thinking about is 40 years down the road and what you're going to need to live then. You just want to have some fun. So people maybe start saving too late. They're not saving enough. That's the second thing. Even if you start saving, if the longer you wait to do it, the more you're going to have to put aside to achieve that, that level that you might want in retirement.
And to prove that, I mean, you can look at a retirement calculator anyway.
Oh, sure.
And you look at that, and that actually will show me every year that you wait to do something impacts that end game tremendously.
Right. And the third thing that impacts that retirement crisis is just making bad investments that don't give you the right rate of return or enough rate of return to get you through those retirement years. We talked in that last segment about income. I think the most important thing that you can do, whether you are retired or you're still working, you're just starting to put money aside, or you're 50, 60, 65 years old and thinking about retiring, the first thing you should learn is what are the income solutions that are available? What are the assets that you can trade for income? Because when you retire, the one source of income that you have counted on, or the primary source, is gone. That's the income from your job. What doesn't go away are the bills that you have, and I think you would all agree, everyone listening, that it is, being alive is not free. It costs money to be alive. Maybe more money when you're in retirement. A lot of people were kind of conditioned to think, well, when I go in retirement, I'll be spending less. That may not be the case. A lot of people want to start doing some traveling, maybe visit some grandkids or great-grandkids if you have them. The last thing you want to do is go in retirement and have to start putting together a list of things you cut out of your life. So the income part of it is really important. That's why the majority of our students that come into these classes, when they come in, Josh, they know about the stock market. They know about mutual funds because that's primarily what they have in their retirement accounts, but they know nothing about futures, forex, or options, and they're afraid of them. And the reason is because they don't know anything about them, and they might have heard somebody say, oh, you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, it's too risky. Well, let's get back to the number one thing we teach you is risk management. Number two is, how do those things function? Why do they trade with leverage? Why is one maybe better for you than the other? And we look at each student as somebody that's unique, and each path that person or a person follows is really customized to them. So for one person, futures might be the best choice. For another person, it might be options. For another, it might be forex. For some, it might be stock. And for some people, to be honest with you, it's not doing anything at all. Some people shouldn't try to do this. And one of the benefits of coming into this free class that Josh is talking about is kind of like dipping your toe in the water just to see what the markets are all about. How do we approach the markets? Is this right for you? And if it is, that's fantastic. And if it isn't, you need to know that too.
You're right. I mean, I was teaching that class I was referencing to earlier, and we were talking about income and wealth. You have two buckets in your life, right? Which is more important? And most people say, oh, well, income is more important. Some people say, well, wealth is more important. Well, you know what? They actually are both equally important because your income and overflow fills that wealth bucket. But when you retire, you don't want that income to just stop. So that's why income and wealth is important. And you mentioned a nice term I think I really liked earlier is an income solution. Right. You have to have a potential to have that, right? But you have to do different things. And you talk about, in these investing classes, these virtual workshops that we do right online, they're only an hour. And we talk about, income potential, the right assets that the smart money is using, like the futures, forex options, even in retirement years, right? We also talk about how to time the market by letting price come to you, or really buying, which is really buying at wholesale and selling at retail, just like the financial institutions do. So to get into this virtual class, it's a 1-hour deal online. You can do this from the comfort of your own home. Just go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com, and understand these different techniques and strategies. It's only an hour. If you're listening right now, anybody can take an hour and learn about their financial future. So, Al, with trading and investing, especially on the investing side, we'll call it the wealth side now, it's a learned skill. People can learn this, but you need the proper aptitude. You got to be able to risk a little bit of capital. With no risk, there's no reward, right? So you also have to understand where to get in your positions, where to get out of them, which is supply and demand, like we talked about in the first section. But you got to have a plan. You have to have a plan to make smart investing decisions. You help a lot of people with that. How do you help people start a wealth plan in their lives?
Well, you should really look at this as a business. And when you think about businesses, you think about professions, pretty much every profession, there is a plan involved. If you fly in a commercial jet, the pilots have a flight plan. If there's an issue in the cockpit, there's a list of things that they go through. It's part of a plan. A surgeon doesn't just walk from OR to OR and without knowing what he's going to do or she's going to do. They have a surgical plan that they follow.
Builders have a blueprint that they follow.
Exactly. Think about what a house would look like if somebody came without a blueprint and tried to put something together. You probably wouldn't get what you want or what you anticipated.
If you built that one, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. But a plan for your financial world, that's probably one of the more important things in your life, but most people don't have a plan. And the plan really should include a couple of things that are really critical to being successful. One is identifying what your goals are, because unless you know from where you are now to where you want to go, where that is, you can't identify a way to get there. You're just going to end up where you end up, and that's going to be based on hope and luck. So you need to have a plan that shows you how to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be in the future. Also, that plan should include a foundational investment strategy that gives you the highest probability of being successful with high profit potential and the least amount of risk. That, for our students, that's our core strategy. And then you need to know what the right asset is to trade. We talk about stock, futures, forex, options. For income potential, income sources, futures, forex, and options are the best. Also, by the way, when you go into retirement, a lot of people get too conservative, and we understand that because now you're no longer working, so you don't have that primary source of income. You have a set amount of money that you may have to rely on, so people get too protective and too conservative, and they don't end up with a strategy that shows them how to grow what they have. And in this next segment, I'm going to go into how they do that without being concerned.
Yeah, so we'll do more wealth coming up here next. But we have a lot of listeners. We've had a lot of people go to the website and register for this free virtual class. I want to make sure our listeners get that website again. It's otamin.com. That's otaminn.com to a free virtual investing class. I mean, we get a lot of people that come to these classes, especially have great jobs, have great income sources, but want to understand, hey, how can you utilize your income? How do you leverage yourself properly? Just go to otaminn.com. That's otaminn.com and register for one of these free classes. When you do register and attend this free class, you're going to get a financial quick start kit just for attending, and that will actually help you get started right away. Coming up next, more wealth trading, but also the golden years of trading and investing, or the life of a trader. otamin.com. All right, podcasters, we will continue on here. Al, what did you want to talk about in the next segment again?
Well, how people get too conservative sometimes in retirement and don't concentrate on growing what they have or creating that source of income in retirement.
Okay.
So we'll talk about how you do that with comfort and confidence.
Got it. We will do that. Section 4 coming up in about 30 seconds.
Sounds like it's still raining out.
Yeah, it's overcast skies today.
Wonder what kind of sound we'd make if the sun was shining.
Oh, thanks, guys. All right, Section 4 coming up here in about a few. Here we go. Welcome back to Investing with Confidence, the final segment of Investing with Confidence, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. An Online Trading Academy, a world leader in trading and investing education. On their 25th year, a quarter of a century, teaching people just like you how to trade stocks, options, futures, and Forex. If you happen to miss that free virtual class that we're giving away, you can go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. It's only about an hour. You can do this from home. And this is to understand how to manage risk, navigate these markets, how to time the market by letting price come to you. But also our step-by-step at Online Trading Academy, our step-by-step rules-based strategy for trading any asset in any market. And Al was talking about having a plan earlier, having a rules-based plan, whether you're trading for short-term income potential or protecting and managing your wealth. And you want to continue that discussion, Al, about wealth and those golden years of retirement, those golden years where we're supposed to have the best time of our lives, traveling and spending time with grandkids and just, loving life, living life to the fullest. But people sometimes, they want to be conservative, which is good. You should be conservative in any time of your life, but you have to still take a little bit of risk because without any risk, there's no reward. So some people, when they go into retirement, are a little too conservative, but there are ways to maximize your capital that you do have, Al, right?
Right.
What are some of the things that you help people do that are in retirement, trying to live and enjoy their life to the fullest, but be able to have income potential during that time or keeping their wealth growth going?
Yeah, well, let's change the word conservative to protected or secure.
There you go.
Being too conservative can put you in a position where you will end up running out of money sooner than you want to or need to. So there's a number of things you can do. When we were talking about the plan, one of the things that a plan should do is control your emotions. And that's part of what happens when you go into retirement. You get emotional about what you have because in your eyes it may be a limited amount of money.
A fixed income.
Right. And it's like in the winter when you see a big pile of snow and the sun starts shining and then that pile starts melting. Well, that's kind of what a lot of people look at their retirement accounts as doing, is diminishing over time.
And don't let that melt.
No, don't let it melt. How do you not do that? Well, first of all, don't get emotional about it. Your plan should include or control your emotions. One of the ways it does that is that step-by-step rules-based process that Josh was talking about. And also, the concern people have is, well, I've worked 30 or 40 years. I've got this money. I can't lose it. Well, what if you could do something? What if you could participate in the financial markets but know that you could never lose more than $50 or $100 in any trade, whatever you choose, whatever amount that is.
So who dictates that? The investor does, right?
The investor chooses that amount, and
that's called risk management.
That's part of risk management, exactly. The way we help you do that is our students have a trading platform. It's a trading analysis and education platform that is kind of customized to each person. But the first thing it asks you to customize, to put into the system is, what is the maximum amount of money you are willing to risk on any individual trade? If for you it's $100, then and you try to put together a trade or investment that exceeds that, this platform will warn you, comes up with an alert saying, hey, you're violating your risk level. So that's one of the things that will help you kind of be more confident in retirement as far as growing your assets. But the other is this. We talked about the leveraged assets. One of the great things about leverage is it allows you to participate in something that has high reward with less money. By leverage, it means that you can put a small amount of money or have a small amount of money into an investment, but it controls a multiple of that. So the overall investment you're controlling is much higher than the amount you actually have in the margin portion of your account.
And that's basically the definition of leverage. You can't
it's leverage.
Kind of like the law of supply and demand, kind of like the law of gravity.
Right.
That's the definition of leverage, but it's using that in the markets properly.
Yeah, so you don't have to take a large amount of what you have worked hard for to grow it. You can take small amounts, use that leverage to your benefit with that risk management in place, making sure that you are not doing something that exceeds your risk level. These are all things that our students learn. And once they start to learn that there is a way of controlling that, there is a way of participating in the markets that give them the potential for greater returns. But here's the great thing. There is also an asset that you can use that will function as an insurance policy on your portfolio.
Let's keep that as a teaser, Al. We have some people that are trying to get into this virtual workshop that we're doing online. It's about a 1-hour workshop. You can do it from home, and you can go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com. I'm glad you brought up this Click platform, Al, because it helps people guide them through their investment strategies, making smart and confident decisions, taking the emotion out of it.
Right.
I mean, think of it as we were talking about in the second section when I threw that marker up in the air and somebody anticipated and waited until that marker came to them and caught it. Same thing in your investments. You place your investments, nice and easy. You place your investments and you wait for price to come to you. The great thing about our platform, Click, it executes the order automatically for you. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about the life of a trader, a life of a trader isn't glued to your computer screen. It's making your investment decisions, making smart decisions, and then letting the computer do that for you. Because that's what it's all about in retirement, is being able to spend time with family, spend time with kids. So being able to do that with more consistency, have the right platform that guides you through that and actually executes it for you. So go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com for this virtual class. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. We have several per week, actually several per day, and you can get into these pretty much any time of day to learn how the markets work, how to manage risk, how to time the market, how to buy at wholesale and sell at retail, just like those institutions do. So just go to otamin.com. Now, Al, you with this insurance on your portfolio, that's an important thing right now, especially we're seeing downtrends in the market.
Right.
Most people are still in euphoria right now, and they think the market's going to continue to go up. Could it? It very well could. Mm-hmm. But how about being protected, right? It's just like getting in your car. How about being protected with insurance? You know, hopefully nothing ever happens with your home. How about having insurance on your home? Everybody does it, right? That is why now is the best time to insure your portfolio, because it's actually at the highest point it's ever been, roughly right along the that high point. How does somebody insure their portfolio?
Right. Well, just think about this for a minute. Unless history stops repeating itself, you will go through a correction or several corrections, and more than likely, if you're, say, under 70 years old, you're going to go through one or two bear markets during the rest of your life. And that's where the market can draw down 20% or more. That's kind of the definition of a bear market. And what was the question you asked me now?
Insurance. We want to talk about insurance.
All right,
how does somebody insure their portfolio?
You go into retirement, number one thing, make sure what you have is protected. How do you do that? And how do you do it without selling what you have? Because a lot of people have a portfolio that they like the makeup of the portfolio. Maybe there's some good dividend stocks in there. Maybe there's a company that you used to work for and you have an emotional attachment to it. You don't have to sell anything in that portfolio to still have the protection. The protection is provided by one of the components of the options world. And it's a very simple thing. It's just basically it's as easy as buying a stock. That option insurance policy, so to speak, it's basically a put option, is going to go up in value if the underlying goes down. So let's say you have a large stock portfolio. Maybe you have that insurance policy on the S&P 500 or the Dow or the NASDAQ, so you don't have to do it on each individual component of your account.
What if somebody has a stock? That's possible too, right?
Has a stock?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. You can do it on individual stocks. You can do it on the market in general. We show you how to do this and how to use it based on what your portfolio looks like and what you want it to look like going forward. But you can keep everything you have. You don't have to sell anything, and you can be protected. You know that if the portfolio, the individual components of the portfolio go down, that insurance policy will go up to kind of counter that drawdown in the portfolio.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about, those commercials about insurance all the time. You're in good hands with so-and-so, right? You're in good hands, right? It makes you feel comfortable. Well, how about feeling comfortable with your investments and feeling comfortable? You have the potential to reach those golden years, right? Have the potential to protect what you have and not have to worry about these downturns. But you know what? A lot of our listeners haven't experienced a downturn. Well,
right.
You know what? That's okay. Maximize your capital. Use short-term trading strategies so it doesn't matter if you have these downturns. You're in and out within days, weeks at a time, so not just the buy and hold. And the fact of the matter is, Al, right, is right now, most people are they say it takes 90 days to create a habit. I'll tell you what, it's been 90 days, and a lot of people have been at home for a very, very long time. I'm going to make it easy for everybody. You don't even have to get out of your house till you do an investing class. If you have capital in the markets or you want to learn how to trade and invest in the markets, you can start at home. We have these virtual classes right online. They're about 1 hour. Just go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com and see where you can start your journey in trading, investing, protect your portfolios, have income potential, but you got to start somewhere in that virtual class. Al, you always talk about a lot of great OTA tips. Let's hear that tip of the week.
Well, the sad thing, Josh, is there's way too many people that accept where they are as where they're meant to be. So ask yourself this: are you okay with where you are? And if not, would you like to change that? It's clear to us that most financial issues and shortfalls are just a result of a lack of knowledge of finances and the financial market. So the markets and the financial opportunities that are capitalized by Wall Street are available to all of us. The good news is that proper education and the development of the skills to use it are also available to all of us, that allow us to take control of our financial life and do it with confidence.
I have better news. That better news is you can do that from the comfort of your own home. Just go to otamin.com. That's otaminn.com for a free virtual class. It's about 1 hour. You can do that right from your own home. As always, same time, same place next week. Until then, retire young, my friends.